I never thought I would be the kind of person who walked away from family. Growing up in small-town Iowa, family was everything. Church on Sundays, barbecues in the backyard, Christmas mornings with homemade cinnamon rolls. But on that August evening, sitting at my parents' dining room table, watching my brother Kyle hold hands with my girlfriend Amber while they announced she was 3 months pregnant with his child, I learned something crucial. Family is only everything when it treats you like you matter. My mother looked at me with tears in her eyes and said the words that would change my life forever. This is God's plan, Brendan. We need to support them. I sat there frozen, watching my entire world crack apart in real time. Before I tell you how I survived the worst betrayal of my life, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button if you have ever felt invisible in your own family. And subscribe, because what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about forgiveness, family, and walking away from toxicity. Now, let me take you back to where this nightmare really began. I grew up in the kind of town where everybody knows your name and your business. Population 3001, stoplight. 2 churches competing for souls every Sunday. My father, Richard, owned a construction company that had been in our family for 2 generations. My mother, Patricia, taught Sunday school and believed that every problem could be solved with prayer and casserole. Then there was Kyle. 3 years older than me, 6 feet tall, broad shoulders from years of football practice. He was the quarterback who led our high school to state championships 2 years in a row. He graduated with a 4.2 grade point average, got a full ride to Iowa State, then came back home to work for Dad's company. Everyone in town knew Kyle, the golden boy, the son who did everything right. And then there was me, Brendan, the quiet one, the one who spent Friday nights in his room drawing instead of at football games, the one who wanted to study art in college, which my father called impractical and my mother called a phase. I was not athletic like Kyle. I did not have his charm, his easy smile, his ability to make everyone in a room love him. I had sketchbooks and charcoal-stained fingers and dreams that nobody in my family understood. Kyle and I used to be close when we were kids. He taught me how to ride a bike, how to throw a spiral, how to sneak cookies from the jar without Mom noticing. But somewhere around high school, we drifted apart. He became the star. I became the shadow. And I learned to be okay with that, or at least I thought I did. Everything changed 2 years before that awful August evening. I met Amber at the local coffee shop, the only place in town that stayed open past 9 in the evening. She was working behind the counter, hair pulled back in a messy bun, wearing a flannel shirt covered in coffee stains. I had gone there to draw, spreading my sketchbook across a corner table, trying to capture the way the afternoon light filtered through the dusty windows. She came over during her break, coffee mug in hand, and looked at my drawing. Most people in town did not get my art. They would glance at it politely and change the subject. But Amber studied it, really looked at it. Then she said something I will never forget. "This is beautiful. You see things other people miss." We started talking. Turned out she was from 2 towns over, had moved here 6 months earlier to help her grandmother. She felt out of place too. Too liberal for the church crowd, too artistic for the practical farming families. We bonded over being misfits, in a place that valued conformity. Our first date was at the independent movie theater an hour away. We watched a French film with subtitles, and afterward we sat in my truck in the parking lot talking until 2 in the morning. She told me about her dreams of becoming a photographer. I told her about wanting to move to a city where art mattered. For the first time in my life, someone saw me. Not Kyle's little brother. Not the disappointing son who refused to work construction. Just me. 6 months later, we were officially together. She came to family dinners, laughed at my dad's bad jokes, helped my mom with dishes. My parents liked her. She was polite, came from a good family, attended church occasionally. They approved. And for once I had something that was mine. Something Kyle did not have first, did not do better. That May we had our annual family barbecue. The whole extended family showed up. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Kyle had just broken up with his girlfriend of 3 years, a woman named Jennifer, who everyone thought he would marry. He seemed fine about it, said they wanted different things. He spent the afternoon flipping burgers, drinking beer, with our cousins being his usual charismatic self. I introduced him to Amber properly that day. They had met briefly before, but this was the first real conversation. I remember standing there watching them talk by the grill. Kyle was asking her about photography, seemed genuinely interested. Amber was laughing at something he said. I felt a twinge of something I could not name. Not jealousy exactly, more like unease. Over the next few weeks, Kyle started showing up at the coffee shop. At first, I thought it was coincidental. Then I noticed he was there every time I visited Amber during her shifts. He would order a drink, chat with her for a few minutes, then leave. When I asked her about it, she shrugged. He is just being friendly, Brendan. He is your brother. I tried to shake the feeling. This was Kyle, my brother, the guy who taught me how to tie my shoes. He would not do anything to hurt me. And Amber loved me. She told me every day. I was being paranoid, insecure, letting my lifelong feelings of inadequacy color everything. But then I noticed other things. Kyle started inviting Amber to family dinners on nights when I was busy. He would text her funny memes. He knew her coffee order. My mom mentioned once that Kyle and Amber had helped her paint the guest bedroom while I was working on a commission. I had not known about it until after. When I asked Amber why she had not told me, she seemed surprised by the question. It was just painting, Brendan. Your mom needed help. One night in July, Amber came home 2 hours later than expected. She said her car had broken down and Kyle had given her a ride. I should have questioned it more. I should have asked why she had not called me first. But I was too busy trying to be the understanding boyfriend, the one who did not make a big deal out of nothing. I should have trusted my gut. I should have asked more questions. But I was too busy trying to be the understanding boyfriend. And that blind trust, it cost me everything. Late July felt different. Amber started acting strange, in ways I could not ignore anymore. She would flinch when I touched her like my hands carried electricity. She apologized constantly for things that did not need apologies. Burning toast. Being 5 minutes late. Forgetting to text me back. The apologies came with this desperate look in her eyes, like she was trying to erase something I could not see. She cried at random moments. We would be watching a movie, and I would hear these quiet sobs. When I asked what was wrong, she would say she was fine, just emotional. I suggested she see a doctor, worried it might be depression or anxiety. She said she would. She never did. One Thursday evening, I finished a painting earlier than expected. A commissioned piece for a family in Des Moines, a landscape of their childhood farm. I was proud of it, wanted to show Amber, maybe take her out to celebrate. I drove to her apartment, the small studio, above the hardware store on Main Street. I had a key. She had given it to me months ago. Kyle's truck was parked outside. A black Ford F-150, with a dent in the rear bumper from a fender bender last winter. I recognized it immediately. My heart started doing this weird thing, beating too fast and too slow at the same time. I told myself there was a reasonable explanation. Maybe he was dropping something off. Maybe he needed to borrow something. Maybe I was being crazy. But my hands shook as I unlocked her door. They were sitting on her couch. Not touching, but the space between them felt charged wrong. Kyle saw me first. His face went pale, then red. Amber turned, and the look on her face told me everything before any words were spoken. Guilt, fear, shame, all of it right there in her eyes. What is going on? My voice sounded strange, like it was coming from underwater. Silence. The kind that stretches and stretches until it feels like it might snap and cut you. Tell me. Right now. Amber started crying. Not the quiet tears I had seen lately. These were the kind of sobs that shook her whole body. I am so sorry, Brendan. I am so sorry. Kyle stood up. Brendan, let me explain. Explain what? The words came out sharp, harder than I meant them. What happened next felt like watching a car accident in slow motion. Amber told me everything. How it started after the barbecue. How Kyle had come to the coffee shop every day, how they started talking about me. Not bad things exactly, but little complaints. How I was always busy with my art. How I did not pay enough attention to her. How she felt lonely. Kyle had been sympathetic, understanding. He offered to talk whenever she needed someone. Those talks turned into coffee dates. Coffee dates turned into something more. It happened the first time in May, she said, after I told you I was working late. We went to a bar in the next town over. I had too much to drink. Kyle drove me home. And it just happened. Just happened. Like it was weather. Like it was something that occurred without choice or agency. It happened again in June and July, when I was busy with my commission, when I was working late, when I was trusting them both, and now there was a baby. She had found out 2 weeks ago. Took 3 pregnancy tests to be sure. Told Kyle immediately. They had been trying to figure out how to tell me. I looked at Kyle, my brother, the person I had looked up to my entire childhood. You have been sleeping with my girlfriend for 3 months. He could not meet my eyes. It was not supposed to happen, Brendan. We tried to stop. But now there is a baby, and we have to deal with this. Deal with this. Like I was the problem to be managed. Like my feelings were an inconvenience to their situation. I left. Did not slam the door. Did not yell. Just walked out, got in my truck and drove. I do not remember where I went. I just remember my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white and this ringing in my ears that would not stop. 3 days later, my father called. We need to have a family meeting, son. Come to the house tonight, 6 o'clock. I almost did not go. Almost just kept driving and never looked back. But some stupid part of me hoped they would take my side. That my parents would be angry at Kyle, would tell Amber to leave, would choose me for once. I walked into our dining room at exactly 6 o'clock. Kyle and Amber were already there, sitting next to each other. My parents sat across from them. There was an empty chair for me at the end of the table. It felt like a trial, and I was the defendant. My father cleared his throat. Son, we need to talk about this as a family. Kyle told us everything. Amber confirmed it. Now there is a baby involved. An innocent life. My mother reached across the table trying to take my hand. I pulled away. Brendan, sweetheart, I know this is hard. But we are Christians. We believe that everything happens for a reason. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Where is this going, Mom? She exchanged a look with my father. Maybe this is God's way of telling us that Kyle and Amber are meant to be together. They are going to raise this child, and we need to support them. Support them? The words did not make sense. I looked at my father. You are serious right now, Brendan. Do not make this harder than it needs to be. We are trying to do the right thing here. There is a baby coming. That baby needs a stable family. And what about me? What about what I need? My mother's voice went soft, pitying. Honey, I know you are hurting, but sometimes God's plan is not what we expect. Kyle and Amber clearly have a connection. Maybe it is better this way. You are young. You will find someone else. It was God's plan, Brendan. The way she said it, so certain, so final. I looked at each of them. Kyle staring at his hands. Amber crying silently. My father's jaw set in that stubborn way that meant his mind was made up. My mother with her sad, understanding eyes that saw nothing. If this is God's plan, I said quietly, then I want no part in it. I stood up. Nobody tried to stop me. Nobody called my name. I walked out of that house, and it felt like walking out of my entire life. I spent that night in my apartment, the small, one-bedroom place above the hardware store, 2 blocks from where Amber lived. Every item in that space reminded me of her. The throw pillows she picked out. The painting of a sunset we bought at a flea market. The coffee mug with the chipped handle that she always used when she stayed over. I could not stay there. Could not stay in this town, where everyone would know what happened, where I would run into them at the grocery store, where people would whisper and judge and tell me to forgive because that is what good Christians do. I called Marcus. We had been roommates in community college before I dropped out to focus on my art, and he transferred to a university in Chicago. He was the kind of friend who answered on the second ring, even at midnight. I need to leave, I told him. Can I crash with you for a while? He did not ask questions, just said, when 3 days. I need 3 days to pack. I will be waiting. I spent those 3 days like a ghost. I called my landlord, told him I would not be renewing my lease, packed everything I owned into boxes, sold my furniture on Facebook Marketplace, called the graphic design firm I occasionally freelanced for, and told them I was relocating. I did not tell my parents, did not answer their calls. Just sent my father a text on the second day. I am leaving. Do not contact me. He replied immediately. You are making a mistake, son. Family is everything. I blocked his number. Blocked my mother's. Blocked Kyle's. Blocked Amber's. Deleted my social media accounts. Cut every tie that connected me to that life. On the third day, I loaded my truck with everything that mattered. My clothes, my art supplies, my sketchbooks, and a duffel bag of cash I had been saving for years. I left before sunrise, watched the town disappear in my rearview mirror as the sky turned orange and pink. I did not cry. I felt empty, hollowed out, like someone had reached inside and removed everything vital. But I also felt something else. Relief. Chicago hit me like a wall of noise and light and possibility. Marcus lived in a small two-bedroom apartment in Logan Square, a neighborhood full of artists and musicians and people who had also run away from somewhere else. He gave me the second bedroom, did not charge me rent for the first month, and did not ask me what happened until I was ready to talk. It took 2 weeks before I could tell him the full story. We were sitting on his balcony drinking cheap beer watching the L train pass by when it all came out. Every detail, every betrayal, every word my parents said. Marcus listened without interrupting. When I finished, he just said, "That is messed up, man. I am glad you left." Those words meant more than he knew. I found work quickly. A small design agency needed a graphic designer, and my portfolio was strong enough to land me a junior position. The pay was not great, but it covered rent and food. I also picked up part-time work at an art supply store in Wicker Park. The owner, an older woman named Ruth, did not care that I had no retail experience. She just cared that I knew the difference between cold press and hot press watercolor paper. The first 3 months were hard. I woke up every morning with this weight on my chest, this feeling like I had lost something essential. I missed my family even though I was furious at them. I missed the familiarity of my hometown even though it had become poisonous. Some nights I lay awake wondering if I had made a mistake. If I should have stayed, tried to work it out, been the bigger person. But then I would remember my mother's words, God's plan. And I would remember that staying would have killed something in me. I started seeing a therapist in November. Her name was Mrs. Delgado, a woman in her 60s, with kind eyes and zero tolerance for nonsense. She did not tell me what to do. She asked questions that made me think, why do you feel guilty for leaving? Because family is supposed to stick together. Even when family hurts you, I did not have an answer for that. She taught me about boundaries, about the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. You do not owe anyone forgiveness, Brendan, she said during one session. Especially not people who hurt you and do not acknowledge it. Forgiveness is for you, not them. And it does not mean letting them back in. Those words changed something. I started to understand that leaving was not weakness. It was survival. I threw myself into my art. Started painting again. Really painting. Not just commissions, but pieces that meant something. Dark emotional works that explored betrayal and family and loss. I joined a local art collective, started showing my work at small galleries, met other artists who understood what it meant to create from pain. By the end of the first year, I had started to build a life. A real one. Not the shadow of Kyle's life, not the disappointed son who could not meet his parents' expectations. Just me, Brendan. The artist, the designer, the person who was learning to be okay alone. Year 2 brought more stability. I got promoted to senior designer at the agency. My art started selling. Not for huge amounts, but enough to matter. Enough to feel like validation. A gallery in Pilsen featured 3 of my paintings in a group show. 2 of them sold opening night. I made friends. Real friends. People like Sophia, a sculptor who had also cut ties with her toxic family. And James, a photographer who understood what it meant to start over. We formed this chosen family, celebrating birthdays and holidays together, showing up when someone needed help moving or a shoulder to cry on. I did not date, was not ready. The thought of trusting someone like that again made my stomach hurt. But I was happy. Or at least I was getting there. Year 3 changed everything. By November of that 3rd year, I had my own apartment. A sunny 1-bedroom and Ukrainian village, with hardwood floors and big windows, perfect for natural light. My walls were covered in my own artwork. My kitchen had actual dishes, not just paper plates. My life felt solid, real mine. I was doing well professionally. The agency had given me my own accounts. My art was featured in a solo show at a respected gallery. I was not rich, but I was comfortable. More importantly, I was proud of what I had built. I had not spoken to my family in 3 years. My parents had tried calling those first few months, but I never answered. Kyle sent a few text messages before I blocked him. Sorry, man. Did not mean for this to happen. Hope we can talk someday. Shallow words that cost him nothing. I did not know what had happened to them. Did not know if Kyle married Amber. Did not know if the baby was a boy or girl. Did not know anything about their lives. And I had made peace with that. Then one Tuesday, in November, I got an email. The sender address was one I did not recognize, but the name made my breath catch. Patricia Sanders, my mother. The subject line read, "We need to talk. Please." I almost deleted it without reading, hovered my cursor over the trash icon, but something made me click it open. Brendan, I know you do not want to hear from me. I know we hurt you, but I am asking you to read this. Please. Things have fallen apart. Kyle and Amber divorced 8 months ago. Your father's company went bankrupt last year. We lost the house. We are living in a trailer now. Kyle is barely keeping it together. We need help. More than that, we need to talk to you. We were wrong. I see that now. Can we meet, please, Mom? I read it 3 times, felt nothing, then everything, then nothing again. I called Mrs. Delgado. Had an emergency session that evening. I told her about the email, about the churning in my gut, about not knowing what to feel. What do you want to do, she asked. Not what you think you should do. What feels right for you, I do not know. Do you owe them a meeting? No. Do you want to give them one? I thought about it. Thought about the boy I used to be, the one who would have dropped everything to help his family. Then I thought about the man I had become, the one who had learned that sometimes love means letting go. I want to face them, I said finally. Not because they deserve it, but because I do. I need to close this door completely. And for the first time in 3 years, I decided to face them. Not because they deserved it, but because I did. I drove back to Iowa 2 weeks later, in early December. The landscape felt both familiar and foreign. Same flat fields, same gray winter sky, same small towns every 20 miles. But I was different. I was not the broken 24-year-old who fled in the middle of the night. I was 27 now. Stronger, clearer, free. I had agreed to meet them at the Main Street Diner, the same place where I used to get breakfast with my dad on Saturday mornings. Neutral ground, public, somewhere I could leave whenever I wanted. They were already there when I arrived, sitting in a booth in the back, looking so much older than I remembered. My father had lost weight, his face gaunt and weathered. His hair had gone almost completely gray. My mother looked tired in a way that went deeper than lack of sleep. Her hands shook slightly as she gripped her coffee mug. I slid into the booth across from them. Did not hug them, did not smile. Just Saturday. Thank you for coming, my mother said. Her voice cracked. I did not respond, just waited. My father cleared his throat. Son, we owe you an apology. A real one. We were wrong. About everything. My mother nodded, tears already forming. We should never have said those things. We should have supported you. I do not know what we were thinking. Kyle was in trouble and Amber was pregnant, and we panicked. We thought we were doing the right thing, keeping the family together. But we tore it apart instead. Where is Kyle now? I asked. My father's jaw tightened. Living in an apartment across town. Works at a warehouse. He and Amber could not make it work. She left when the baby was 6 months old, moved back to her hometown. Kyle sees his daughter every other weekend. And the business, gone. Bad investments, bad economy, bad decisions. We lost everything. The house, the company, our savings. We filed for bankruptcy last year. My mother reached across the table. Please, Brendan. We know we do not deserve your forgiveness, but we are asking anyway. We were terrible parents. We chose Kyle over you. We called your pain God's plan. We were wrong. So wrong. I looked at her hand, did not take it. Do you remember what you said to me that night? I asked quietly. She nodded, crying openly now. You said it was God's plan, that Kyle and Amber were meant to be together, that I should support them. Do you understand what that did to me? Yes, my father said. We do now. Too late, but we do. I sat back, took a deep breath. I have spent 3 years building a life without you. I have a career I love. Friends who show up when I need them. A therapist who taught me that I do not owe forgiveness to people who hurt me. I have learned to be happy. My mother's voice was barely a whisper. We are glad. We are glad you are okay. But you are not okay, I said. And you want me to fix it. That is why I am here, right? You need money, help, support. My father started to protest, but I held up my hand. I want you to know something. I could help you. I have the means. I make good money now. I have savings. I could write you a check right now that would solve some of your problems. Hope flickered in my mother's eyes. But I am not going to do that. The hope died. She closed her eyes. Not because I want revenge. Not because I hate you. but because you need to learn the same lesson I did, that actions have consequences, that you do not get to call something God's plan when it is just people making selfish choices, that family is not an obligation. It is something you earn through love and respect and showing up when it matters. I am sorry, my mother whispered. I believe you. But sorry does not undo 3 years of silence. Sorry does not give me back the family I needed when my world fell apart. Sorry does not change the fact that you chose Kyle over me without hesitation. My father's voice was rough. What do you want from us, Brendan? Nothing. I do not want anything from you. I came here to tell you that I forgive you. Not for your sake, but for mine. I forgive you, so I can move on completely, without this weight. But forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. It does not mean I am coming back. It does not mean you get to be part of my life. You are still our son, my mother said. Biologically, yes. But that is where it ends. I have a family now. I built one. People who chose me, who show up for me, who see me as more than a disappointment or a tool to fix their problems. I stood up. Put $20 on the table for my untouched coffee. I hope things get better for you. I really do. But that is not my responsibility. You made your choices. Now you have to live with them. Just like I had to live with mine. I walked out of that diner, got in my car, and drove back to Chicago. Did not look back. Did not cry. Just felt this incredible lightness like I had been carrying a boulder, and finally set it down. Mrs. Delgado was right. Forgiveness was for me. And it did not require me to let them back in. I learned that sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is walk away. Not in anger or spite, but in self-preservation. Family is not just blood. It is respect, support, and love. And when those things are missing, you have every right to build your own family. I found mine in Chicago, in Marcus, who gave me a place to land, in Mrs. Delgado, who taught me that boundaries are not selfish, in the friends who showed up when I needed them, who celebrated my successes and held space for my pain. I did not need their apology to heal. I just needed to give myself permission to let go, to stop waiting for them to see me, to value me, to choose me, because I could do all of that for myself. God's plan maybe, but I believe we write our own plans. And mine, it is just beginning. I have art shows scheduled for next year, a promotion at work, a life full of people who genuinely care about me. I wake up every morning in my sunny apartment, make coffee in my chipped mug, and feel grateful. Not for what I lost, but for what I gained. The strength to walk away, the courage to start over, the wisdom to know that sometimes the family you choose is better than the family you were born into. 3 years ago, I thought my life was ending. Turns out it was just beginning. Have you ever had to walk away from family to save yourself? Have you ever been told to forgive someone who never truly apologized? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and your experiences matter. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real stories about betrayal, healing, and finding yourself when everything falls apart. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it is okay to choose yourself. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you find the courage to write your own. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and remember that you are never alone in your struggles. Take care.